Hello, my name is Tim Erickson. I'm St. Paul Tim on the internet, and today I'm here to give you a quick tour of Backdrop CMS. And this is a really high-level tour of the user interface or admin interface for content editors. We will not be going into detail on how to do things. Just a quick sort of introduction to where to find things when you get started with Backdrop. So the site that we're using was built using the demo backdrop button, and I'm mentioning this to you because this is available for anyone. If you want to experiment with or learn about backdrop, feel free to come and click this button. It's going to take you to this page where you can create a demo sandbox. It only takes about 30 seconds, and that sandbox lasts just 24 hours. So this is a free temporary site for you to use for testing or experiment, but you don't want to do anything permanent here. Once you click on that, you'll get a link that takes you to your website along with a generic username and password. So here we are on a brand new demo site that I spun up using that same button. And what we want to do is walk quickly through the admin toolbar here. And first of all, I just want to point out under Home a couple of quick things. Flush all caches. This is the main thing you want to worry about right here. Anytime your site's not behaving the way you expect it is, Backdrop might be remembering what it was doing before you made a change, and you want to tell it to forget about that and display the site as it should be. You click on that button, it solves a lot of mysterious problems for mysterious reasons. Never hurts to try that. Never worry about clicking the Flush All Caches button. The worst thing that's going to happen is that for the next time you try to view something on your site is it's going to take an extra second to load. Really, the caches are meant there to speed up your website, but flushing them from time to time just doesn't hurt anything. The other thing that's here that I only recently became aware of actually is this button. There's other ways to do this same task that I have used in the past. But if you've updated either Backdrop Core or any contrib modules and you need to run database updates, there's a nice link right there to take you to this page. Again, there are other ways to do that. The dashboard is the next thing here. A lot of power or useful information right here on the dashboard to help you get around Backdrop CMS. We're not going to go into the details of the various items on the dashboard. I think many of them are pretty self-explanatory, but I do encourage you to be aware of the dashboard and to use it. Okay, the content menu is pretty much what it sounds like. This is where you add and manage your content. If you have multiple content types, you'll be able to get to them all from here. All your existing content. This is a good point. Not everybody realizes that if you click on the content button itself, it shows you all your existing content. If you go down here, you're adding or managing content. Well, actually, the manage content is the same. Manage comments. These are comments on your content. If you have them enabled, that's here. And managing files. These are PDFs and images and things you've uploaded to your site. This is where you're going to manage those. The user accounts here, this is where you're going to manage the actual users on your site, people who have accounts. For many sites, that might just be one user, the admin user, and you may not really need this menu hardly at all. If you do have other people logging into your site, this is where you manage and help them out, where you change their password, add and delete accounts, things like that. Just to point out that there is another user accounts menu item up here that's over here. This is about the various settings that affect your users. So that's different. This is how you configure what your users have access to and how they interact with your site. This is where you actually manage those accounts themselves. The appearance menu is just about themes for Backdrop CMS. So you can enable for both the functionality is where you manage your modules, appearance is where you manage your themes. Under both of these those menus, you have you have multiple tabs. One of them is going to show you, in this case, your themes. The other is going to allow you to find and install new themes. In the case of modules, same thing. The first one allows you to list all the modules currently on your site, enable or disable them. The second one allows you to find and enable new modules. Okay, under the structure menu, this is where we sort of configure and manage things like content types, custom blocks, file types, layouts, menus, taxonomies, and views. So each one of these things could have a video in itself. We're not going to talk about what all the things you can do here, but hopefully this video will just help you understand where to find these things, and also maybe how this is a little bit different from, say, configuration. Structure is more, well, a lot what it sounds like, the structure around your content, layouts, again, in files and blocks. Configuration is a lot more sort of site-wide configuration, things that happen around your site, and doesn't so much shape the specific or affect the specific shape of your content. So under the configuration menu, we have things like the configure your administration bar, content authoring, text editors, and formats. We should definitely do a video on that. Development. Development here is got some, check out the performance settings in particular. There's some things there that should be checked. In fact, we'll look at it really quick. By default, most of these items are all checked to speed up your site. If you're building your site or doing development, I recommend unchecking all of these, because it might slow your site down a little bit, but it's also going to make sure that what you're seeing is more accurate during development. Basically, once you cache data, that means that sometimes it takes a while for data to show up. And during development, that's not helpful at all. So we have a media menu. These, again, not managing your media, but managing the settings for your media. And the settings tools, things like image styles and image toolkit. This is where you're going to find those. Regional and language are things like time zones, setting those, also setting your formats for times and dates. This is where you can set those. The search settings are exactly what they seem like. The system menu, another pretty important page here, is the site information. I'm going to click on that because this is where you set your site name, your site email, things like your logo and other things. Very important information about your site. How paths and URLs are managed in your site is in here. You can create aliases directing people from one URL to another. Again, we talked about user accounts. This is where you're managing the settings for your users, not actually managing the users. And web services is finally just RSS settings. The most important thing under reports, this is all just data back to you. You shouldn't be creating settings over here. I think the big one is the status report. This gives you a quick overview of the status of your site and all the settings. I would say the next, the top three are the ones I use the most. Checking to make sure all your are checking the backdrop core and all the contrib modules that you're using are up to date. This is where you will do that and get information about your modules. And the last thing, recent log. If you are having problems with your site, check this recent log messages. Over here we pretty much have the menu search bar. This is where you can search for basically through this menu item. So things like alias. If I type in alias, it's going to show me all of the menu items, the menus that deal with aliases. So if you can't find something in the menu, this is a handy thing. If you don't use this and you want to save the space, there is an option to turn this off in the admin bar settings. Same thing for the user count. This is how many users are on your website. This is the current. This tells you who the current user is and is a quick link to their account page, which in this case doesn't really have anything useful. And of course, there's a logout button. So I hope that this was useful. I know that there's a lot of things in here that you may still need more information about, and I encourage you to do some additional research or watch some more of our videos where we will talk about some of these features in much more detail. Thank you very much. And again, you can find us at Simplo or Team Triplo on YouTube.